we go. Thank you for coming to tonight's Tuesday night talk. I don't know what else to say. No, I know what to say. So this is for our Patreon people, live feed, and then we publish it publicly afterwards. So if you're watching this recorded, thanks for joining as well. We love all y'all. Before we go too much further, I just wanted to mention in the beginning that if you have any questions as a result of what we talk about here, or if you think of some topics that we should cover, you can leave those in the comments below, and we'll be checking them for next week's feed when we do that one live, or you can message me or whatever you want to do there. But other than that, any news going on in the area, anything happening that they need to be made aware of? All the dead air.
Looks like there's rain in the forecast.
Yeah, always.
And they're trimming trees around power lines.
Out here in Robbinsville, yeah. They had our mailbox blocked off. All right, so let's jump right into it. Mr. Bob Kendall, longtime friend, follower. Thank you, Bob. He says, what are some top tips for working well with others? Example, let's say other traffic. Will not use the pull-offs. In packs, it's kind of understandable because the lead guy doesn't see you back there, and the trailing people, they don't want to lose the lead guy because they might get lost on the road that has 0 exits. But okay. Anyway, yeah, it's tough. Now that they've paved all the pull-offs, there's this sort of expectation of people to use the pull-offs, whereas before they were paved, and I don't know how many of you guys, well, a lot of you guys were around when that was the case, but I would not want to see people use the pull-offs. They would have 2 and 3 inch drops. I remember taking pictures of soda cans sitting beside the asphalt to gravel difference. And
this height,
and you definitely don't want somebody on a motorcycle at speed hitting gravel with that much of a drop. So I think most people were more, patient with getting behind slower motorcycles and stuff before they paved everything. And now that they're paved, it's very frustrating because it's so easy to hit and people aren't doing it. I always say, the pull-offs work both ways, and you can pull over too. As far as approaching people, it's tough. There's a lot of ego in the type of crowd that tends to frequent this place, the Dragon in particular. You've got your cruiser bike rider types, which are, a certain type of mentality. You got the sport car people, sport bike people. It's a lot of ego, and it's tough to strike up that conversation. But sometimes you can. Sometimes they're at the place where you stop at, and you can sort of start a conversation. Don't jump right into what's bothering you. First of all, that's just in general a bad idea as far as any conflict, whether it be a relationship or strangers, people your spouse. I have a hard time with it. I'm not saying it's easy, but try not to just jump right into it. Go, hey, how you guys doing? You having a good time, and it's pretty cool, right? And yeah. And it's like, yeah, I'm having fun too. If you don't mind when somebody comes up behind you, if you could let them by, they really appreciate that. A lot of times they just don't even realize it. And they're like, oh, okay, sorry, I didn't know, and they're actually pretty cool about it. If somebody is being problematic and they're driving dangerously, driving across the yellow line and stuff, that's one that's hard to not get confrontational on. And my approach is to use questions instead of making statements. And I think that's a pretty old school, tried and true method of persuading people to think how you want them to think, without causing so much conflict, and especially again with ego involved and stuff. So I have the 3-question technique or whatever, I guess you could say. It's like, hey, you having a good time here? And let them answer, yeah, it's pretty cool. I was like, yeah, this is a pretty sweet place we got, isn't it? To come play. Yeah, it's awesome. And it's like, what do you think it would take to screw this all up? And then they're like, what do you mean? It's like, if people drive all over the road, if people cause problems up here, what do you think is going to happen? You know, you can't be driving on a double yellow like that. You can't be driving off the road, kicking up gravel. You know, that causes problems that will screw this up for all of us. So, I mean, just think about it is all I'm saying. You know, if you can't come around to that logic or whatever, then so be it. But I found a lot of times what happens is people will initially be resistant and argumentative to your message. But if you don't get carried away, don't let it escalate. Just be like, okay, again, you know, have a nice day and just walk away. A lot of times it'll sink in and they'll think twice about what they're doing, even though they were confrontational initially. The message ends up getting through to them, and yeah, it just takes a while for the ego to let go and sensibility to come in and say, you know, they're right. That's probably not the best thing to be doing. Anything to add to that?
So when you do get stuck behind them and people are not pulling over, just chill. There's no need in raging out, letting the little Hulk come out. You know, you just, yeah, I've been there, that person too.
And there's places that you can pull off and let them go, and you'll learn if you start doing this, using this technique and paying attention. Look for pull-offs at the ends of long sections where you can see behind you pretty well. Pull off into that, and you sort of like sit there and look back, and you can see when traffic is not even close to you. You can see it through like a U-shaped bend that you just came around. There's a pull-off at the exit or at the end of it. Pull off there, and you can see across that bend, and you can watch for traffic to come around and, you know, pull out, not in front of them. You know, you pull out and get in front of them, but they're still a ways back. And then if they catch up to you, it's game over. Don't race. You know, it's game over. Just pull over, let them go, because the race is already over. Don't try to push yourself or anything around other people. The biggest mistakes that happen are a result of people either trying to stay in front of somebody or to keep up with somebody. They're not driving their own pace. They're driving the pace of somebody else. And that's almost always when there's mistakes made. It's other people around that person that wrecked, and that influenced their driving or riding. So, you know, obvious things looking back on it, if you've been here a few times, but if some of you folks are newer, some things to think about. Don't let other people turn you into somebody that you're not normally. It's easy to sit here and say that, and then you get behind the handlebars or the steering wheel and we totally change. I get it, you know, especially if you're running with some friends, there's some people behind you that you want to kind of play with. It's tough, you know, it's tough to coexist out there and chill. You know, backing off seems to make it less easier to be less aggressive. You know, when you're close to somebody, it tends to make you want to be more aggressive and drive more aggressive. So, yeah, Brody says just stop for a few and watch the show. Exactly. You know, just pull over and check it out. Of course, if people are going by, then you're resetting your distance gap that you have to sort of let happen. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places out there that are just cool places to sit and watch. Anytime you got something to add, I'm bad for over talking, taking over the show. Sorry. Mr. Logan Lowe says, how often are you out there in the field taking photos rather than making sure everything's running smooth at the shop? Not often. Last Sunday, Memorial Day Sunday, we were a little short-handed, and I went out there at like 6:30 in the morning and set up and shot till about 4. And that's the first time I've shot roadside in
you did
months.
One day last year.
Yeah, exactly. Last year. And that's where I sort of got the idea to do the 1 hour video. I was going to do some little short videos, and I thought I'll just do like a video and let it run for a while. And I just kept going and going. Ended up being like, I was like, let's do a 1 hour video and see how that goes over. And that went over really well. And so we're working on getting things in place. I have to get my guys cameras and stuff, because again, I'm not out there that often. So my crew is going to work on getting some 1 hour videos while they're out there practically every day. And we'll share those with you guys on Patreon first, and then they'll go public, you know, after a couple of days. You guys get the exclusivity there. But yeah, I'm not out there that often. But I mean, I do shoot special projects and groups. I do other photography on the side for businesses, realty and stuff like that, you know. But as far as being on the side of the road, not that often. Mr. Rod Worley from the Vets of Atlanta says, have you thought about expanding Instagram type videos for sale. 2 Instagram videos for sale. Videos and Instagram stories can be this long. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I haven't really. I'm not a big fan of Instagram, and I'm trying to just let it ride. But it seems like Instagram is very user oriented and not very creator oriented, and it has all these restrictions about what we can do. We can't post photos that are both portrait and landscape. You got to do it one way or the other. Well, why? It's the freaking internet. You can do whatever you want to now. We can't put links in things unless it's in your bio. You get one link. That's it. And it's just like they're so restrictive, and there's no reason for it. So I'm not a big fan of Instagram just because they grind my gears. But I'll look into it and see what that's about. I don't really understand that, but maybe we can talk more about email. We have a little bit. Okay, so Mr. Roger Maroney, which by the way, I'm wearing my Team Maroney shirt today for our boy Kyle. Roger Maroney says, I love Bonham's Groove, The Ocean, On the Ocean. What is your favorite Zepp tune? And Jacques Demone, that song is awesome to watch on lighted graphic equalizer. So I bought whole Led Zeppelin sets of albums and everything at one time when CDs were still a thing. And I kind of dig Led Zeppelin in certain ways, in certain times, I guess, but I'm not the biggest Zeppelin fan. So I'm not the person to answer that question.
He's asking what your favorite is.
What about your favorite?
What do they sing?
A lot of good songs.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something about them. They're sort of like this mellow type of music. A lot of times it's not very intense, and it can be okay when you're working, but a lot of what I do is kind of rushed around. I'm not really one to sort of just chill and mellow out. Yeah, Stairway to Heaven being their most popular one. And,
you ever just know all the music in your head, but you have no clue who sings it or what the title is?
The Immigrant Song that they're using Thor when he's coming in to the battle scene. That song rocks. I like some of their stuff, but I'm not a big Zepp fan. I'm not going to fake like I am. Any cool stories about some vehicle snuck up on you, didn't realize it was coming until it was in front of you? Man, ain't nobody faster than me. No, there's a lot of people faster than me. Not really. Kamal likes to mess around. Our photographer with the Civic out there, he likes to goof around with people, and I can't remember if he's done that to me, but he'll run at night with his headlights off behind people, and they don't even know he's back there.
A lot on the little bike.
Really? You gotta get him closer off the screen there. And then he'll pass them down by the lake or something. They don't even know he's coming around them, and all of a sudden, he goes by or whatever. But no, not much like that really. Mikey says, I think was there the first time a year before the road was paved. I think you mean repaved. It wasn't dirt before that year, I think is what you're getting at. Any thoughts on a repave? It's very due. The last repave happened
0102, I think.
Was that long? So
yeah,
there you go.
Because it was, I think it was just prior to me working at the store, and that was 03.
Man. So there you go. It's almost been 20 years. And the one prior to that, it was a 7-year time frame from the repaves. So obviously they're using different material, it lasts longer and all that, but there's some pretty bad places that are coming up out there that they've come out and patched a few times, potholes and things like that. But they don't bring a steamroller out. It's just guys with shovels and stuff, and it's not the greatest. Falls apart, stuff gets everywhere. I think in a way, there's some people who probably would prefer for it to stay rough, to slow people down, legal type authorities and things like that. I'm not sure. Paige says it was repaved right before I started coming in 2003. Yeah. Hollis, thank you for the questions, y'all. Hollis says, have you killed many cameras? What's the highest actuation count on one of your cameras? So when we first started, the cameras were not that durable, and the cameras that we use, for people who don't understand, there's a mirror in there that flips up and down really fast every time you take a picture, and we'll take 10,000 pictures on a busy day, easy. So the early Canons, like the 10D, 20D, 30D, they're up to 90D now, and they every couple of years or every year they bring out a new number that goes up one step, and those are basically the low level prosumer stuff. Most of our guys use the next level up in cameras like the 5D and 6D, 7D. But yeah, they had a pretty low shutter count and lifespan, and they would die in 6 months, and we'd send them back to Canon, and they would replace the shutter mechanism and everything, and we'd get them going again sometimes. But lately, the cameras are lasting pretty long, and we haven't had too many problems with mirror failures and shutter failures.
We'll just say we've got every version from the 10D all the way up to the 80D.
And we still have all those.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we have all those cameras.
They're dead.
In various states of failure, still in our possession. Yeah. And the highest actuation count, they hide it. There's no real easy way to see the shutter count on the cameras, but I know it's in the hundreds of thousands on a lot of them. Yeah. JR says boxers or briefs. Sort of boxer briefs. What am I wearing?
I think those are called boxer briefs.
Yeah, they're sort of like a cross in between. I'm hybrid style. Okay, so Mr. Jacques here says, you recently did an episode of Killboy Drives Your Shit, and where you drove a Ferrari. So I drove that Ferrari 360 Challenge Stradale, or just Challenge Stradale, as some people are saying. It's not a 360. It is, but whatever. After the drive, the owner told you how old the tires were. No, he told me before the drive. It's in that video. We're talking about it before we take it out, how old those tires are. So in the introduction of that car, he's telling me about those tires. So we knew it before we drove. And did you crap your pants when he told you? So funny story about that car. And it's all water under the bridge now. So the owner's, over the situation. But I drove the car pretty extensively on the Cherry-Halo Skyway. We drove all the way to Tellico Plains, had dinner, and then I drove it all the way back to Topoko Lodge from Tellico Plains at night in the dark. And we talked a lot. Really cool owner. And then when we got to Topoko Lodge, and it did fine. So the tire thing, I wasn't like out there really feeling the limits of the car. So it didn't do too bad. But they were, I forget, 15 years old or something, those tires. They were original tires that came on the car in like 2003. But it did fine. It wasn't a problem with grip because I wasn't really out there just crushing it. But we got back to Topoko Lodge like late that night, or 10 o'clock. We sat there and talked for like another hour. And then he left, and he was staying in a B&B like right across the road from Topoko Lodge up Meadow Branch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Meadow Branch, Reimers Ferry there. And it was kind of cold. It was kind of late. And we had sat there for long enough that his tires had got cold. And I took him for a ride in the Macan up to the store, which he was blown away. And I picked up photos and came back down to Topoko Lodge. And he was really impressed with all the grip and everything that it had. And then he got in his car, and he was sort of still in that mindset, I guess. And when he drove across the road to go up Meadow Branch towards his B&B, he just turned off 129 and was going up through there. And he kind of got on it, and the Ferrari got sideways and overcorrected and went off the road down into the creek river thing there, and it totaled the car. Ended up in shallow water, which that wasn't the problem, but when they pulled it back out, pulling it up the banks backwards basically, and all of what was left that wasn't damaged on the bottom of the car got pretty tore up, and ended up totaling his car. So pretty sad night, but he made out okay. Insurance covered it. They did an investigation and everything and found that there was no, it was legit. There was no foul play. And they took care of him, and he was able to, come out okay. It was such a collector's car. If it hadn't have been totaled, it would have not been worth, as much because of the damage from the accident anyway. So he's lucky that, in a way, that it was totaled, because it wouldn't have been an investment. Basically, a lot of those Ferraris, you can buy them and drive them for a short period of time if you don't put too many miles on them, and you actually can sell them for as much or more than what you paid for them. It's kind of funny how that works, and if you have enough money, you can reach a point where you can make money using your money. But yeah, it was pretty sad night. He was, pretty shook up.
Yeah. But while he was bummed, we all would be.
Yeah, for sure.
He learned some lessons, and
that was his baby.
Yeah.
He loved that card. It was pretty cool. So yeah, I'll talk about it in the video. I'll link to that video in the description below, on the repost of this live stream Q&A thing. So that is all the questions for tonight. Thought if there's like a topic that we should discuss, something that is sort of local knowledge or something like that, if you guys think of anything, we're always down to sort of go over things that people should understand. And I think, I saw out there shooting last weekend, last Sunday, I saw people doing the thing that we've talked about a little bit before in posts and things like that, but I want to just sort of put this out there again as a reminder to people who aren't familiar with it. It's the waving by thing, when people pull over, especially on a motorcycle, and wave another motorcycle by. I really don't have a problem with that, personally. It's just, you need to understand that there's a legal aspect to that gets people in trouble sometimes, and it's not that uncommon that people get tickets up there because they were passing someone or overtaking someone, whatever you want to call it, that had motion for them to go around, and that does not make it legal. It's not legal in either state to overtake another vehicle, whether in their lane, staying in the same lane, or using the other lane. If it's a double yellow, you're not allowed to overtake the vehicle in front of you unless they're stopped in the road, which is very dangerous. We don't want anybody stopping in the road either. So keep that in mind. Waving people around is just not a good idea in general. So there's pull-offs on the Dragon. Now on 28, it's tough because there's not many places to pull over. If you're on a motorcycle, they're tricky because there's those drops. And you have to just be patient on 28. They recently dropped the speed limit from 55 to like 30, maybe even. No, it's 40 and 30 in most of 28, 25 past Poco or Fontana Village. But just, waving people around on these roads that are, double yellow stripes in the middle, it's not legal, and you won't get in trouble for waving somebody around. The other person will get in trouble for breaking the law. I mean, it's like telling somebody to throw a brick through a window. It's like, if you get caught doing it and you tell them, well, he told me to do it, what do you think they're going to say? It doesn't matter. You still can't do that. And same thing with passing on the double yellow. Two motorcycles are not allowed to overtake each other in the same lane in Tennessee or North Carolina. They're allowed to ride side by side. This is stupid. And obviously, every now and then, one is going to be ahead of the other one. So whatever. But you're not allowed to take the trailing position and go to the leading position in the same lane. And of course, if it's double yellow, you can't either. So one of those things that's, I don't think many people know about, and they're surprised when they get a ticket out there, and the police have been pretty aggressive. I think they got another chunk of grant money recently is what I heard. And they've been out there pretty hardcore the past month or so, with numbers pretty high during the weekend, especially being, pretty unforgiving about some of the things people are doing out there, and speeding, I think is not as big of a problem as they make it out to be. It's more about sloppy driving, and people driving across the double yellow and then causing, sudden veering and changes in the steering directions that causes people to wreck. That's a bigger problem to me than, somebody out there going a little quicker that's still in control, obviously not sliding around and things like that. But yeah, just be careful out there, and on the weekends, just try to enjoy the show. All right. So you guys in the chat have any other questions or comments there, let us know. It's going on 8:25, and I think what we're working on next is, like I said, we're going to try to get the hour-long videos going, and then I'm also wanting to incorporate my guys into the Patreon thing so that we'll all share in the earnings, and they'll be more inclined to contribute and think of ideas. And that will also allow us to offer discounts on photos. So I want to put discounts in place for each tier that gradually go up, and then maybe also have one more tier that'll be above where we're at right now, but it'll be basically free photos or 90% off photos. I think that we can't, it's hard to make a discount code where you get absolutely free photos. You have to pay some kind of $5 or something like that because of the way photo reflective service that we're using is set up. But basically it'll be, you get all your photos included with this package type thing. We'll see. But the other tiers will get some discount codes as well that you guys can use. And that way we don't have to calculate things with our guys, because the way that they're getting paid, it's complicated. It's more complicated than most people realize. And that makes it simple when they're on board with the Patreon thing. Then we just split the earnings and they profit from Patreon to offset the discount code thing. So I hope that makes sense. And that's why we haven't been able to do it yet, is because it's a little bit trickier than you realize to implement.
And make sure everything stays fair to everybody.
Yeah. We don't want to shortchange the guys. We don't want to, get real too aggressive with our customers and, do you guys wrong or anything like that. As far as what's going on in our lives, Lori's been out there gardening. She's got a little garden out back. I don't know if you guys would be interested in some of that.
It's a pretty big garden.
It's a pretty big garden. What is that, like a half an acre or something like that? I don't know. She tills it with a little tiller, and she's out there getting her hands dirty. I don't have nothing to do with it. It's something she wanted to do. So I'm like, hey, if you want to do that, that's your thing.
Yeah, my parents help a lot.
And her parents come out and
have them teach me so that while they still can, and, they remember, and, I can learn that, and maybe, even though I don't have kids of our own, I can pass that down to like nieces, nephews, great nieces, great nephews, or whatever's around at that time and may be interested. And
share some of the garden stuff. She's pretty famous for the peppers and things that she's been growing out there with.
I just grow them. I don't eat them. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I'm not really a super spicy food kind of guy either. I know Kamal likes them, and your brother and stuff like that.
Yeah. They're definitely spicy.
Well, all right. Thanks, you guys. We'll wrap it up for this week. Again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And we'll see you guys next Tuesday night with a fresh set of questions. And we'll come with a new insider tip for people who are frequenting the area or plan to visit the area. Something to keep in mind, maybe. All right. Thanks, y'all. See ya. Doink.